Welcome to Jargon, a podcast bringing clarity to commonly misunderstood business concepts. We're debunking and simplifying the buzzwords and ideas plaguing today's business world and offering a fresh perspective on these topics.
Well, hello, I'm Bill Aimone.
This is Peter Purcell.
We're here for another Jargon podcast, and today we're going to talk about AI and actually AIOps. And Peter's going to be our subject matter expert for the day, and I'm going to be drilling him some questions on AI and AIOps. Let's go ahead and dive in and get started. Maybe just foundationally, when we were talking about AI and AIOps, what kind of started this? What kind of started your thought process on this and your research on all this?
Yeah, sure. Actually, what was very interesting is I was trying to step back to figure out what can IT do or what can CIOs do specifically to be the vanguard to encourage business to use AI. Because some businesses, the business folks are a little hesitant to start. You know, they've heard the horror stories of, data getting out into the web, IP going out. And then there's also some skepticism as to what AI can do. So I thought, what can CIOs do to be the vanguard?
So is this more like I'm going to teach them by doing?
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, Gartner created this term called AIOps, which is AI for IT operations. And it's specifically focused there. And the good news is that we've had enough time now that if you have an ESM product or enterprise service managed product, like ServiceNow or, any of the BMC products, the IBM products, you name it, they've already started rolling out AIOps into their products.
Okay, so it's already there.
Yes.
When we're talking about here. This isn't some figment of imagination. This is actually technology that exists.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so what I wanted to do was talk through what kind of features and functions these things provide. They're called all sorts of different names depending on whether you're talking to ServiceNow and whether you're talking to IBM. But there's like 5 or 6 kind of major things that AI will do within your ESM product or around your ESM product that you can start using and start helping business, and they'll get tangible value.
Okay, so let's back up just for 1 second. When I hear ESM, Enterprise Service Management,
right,
I think of the IT help desk. Is that kind of what? Let's define that first.
Yeah, so enterprise service management is beyond the IT help desk. Basically, ESM, and we actually have a podcast on this if you guys want to kind of dig through some of the dusty archives. ESM, enterprise service management, which is ERP for IT. And typically what it does is it does everything from service management, which is your help desk, to configuration management, which is helping you manage your assets. Security management, there's a series of modules around that, and just a variety of other modules that you would use to help you run IT.
I like how you said it's the ERP for the IT department. So if you have a large IT department with a lot of assets and a lot of customers and users in your company, you've got to manage it efficiently. You can't just do it on a spreadsheet or do it ad hoc. You've got to put it in a system so that you know, when do I do my upgrades? When do I need to let people know we're doing an upgrade? And then when, I'll say, requests come in, how to handle them and how to prioritize them. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
That is absolutely correct. And so the interesting thing, as with most ERP implementations, the ESM solutions oftentimes require bolt-ons to support IT needs. And what that brings is you have now an environment that sort of talks to each other, a lot of really good data, and your analysts spend a lot of time looking across all these systems to try to do things like spot trends and maybe try to be a little bit more predictive of what's coming down the path, et cetera. And that's where AIOps steps in and is almost a no-brainer to help you out.
Okay, so basically what we're talking about here is putting your enterprise service management or ESM almost like on steroids, basically.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Got it. That's for my benefit as a non-IT guy here. So
that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. So, along those lines, what I'd like to do, if it's all right, is dive into, if you use some of these AIOps features within ESM, one of the first things that is almost a no-brainer for them to do is to ingest large amounts of data and aggregate that data for you, almost like Power BI on steroids, if you will. Allow us to take a look at data across all the different modules, bring it together and start trying to correlate what's happening.
So would this be something looking at maybe past support tickets and help when upgrades happen?
Yeah, it could be. Additionally, taking a look at those past tickets and spotting trends, because each help desk individual might enter their solution slightly differently, even though it's the same thing. But one of the key things that often happens, you might have part of your security management, you may have a vulnerability that pops up on a module and you're using a third-party module for that. But on your configuration management module, what it really means is, this is just a Windows platform and it's one update out of sync. So it's not really a huge vulnerability. And so AIOps will allow you to kind of merge that kind of information and figure out what's really going on.
Okay, so information from different systems. So it might be your history on penetration attacks and being able to ingest that information and correlate that to what's in your service management system. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
That is correct. But in that specific case, it's funny, you've jumped way ahead. You could use that history information to also identify when things are out of whack, when you're seeing patterns within your environment that are not normal, and come back to you very quickly and let you know, hey, you may be penetrated or you may have this some sort of cyber attack going on and you may not even be aware of it, but this is not normal. So again, it's doing things like that.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at. When you think about predicting, like different events are associated with other events, is that kind of what you're talking about here?
Yeah, absolutely. That type of correlation. And for an analyst, an IT analyst, even your best IT analyst, you guys, for those of you who are CIOs, they'll stay up nights trying to figure this stuff out. Whereas if you use these AIOps features, they figure it out in microseconds.
So I'm curious, does it help with root cause identification of issues?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes, it does. Because you can oftentimes, if the AIOps module is set up correctly and you do allow it to access some of these third-party services that you all sign up for, to tell you kind of other people have kind of figured out, like what happened with this CloudStrike thing. We knew that the problem was there were 2 files that were corrupted that was downloaded, and somebody figured it out probably within the first 5 minutes of the failure, and we were hit in the United States like a little bit later. That type of root cause analysis, it can just go to the third party and tell you immediately and save your analyst hours of trying to dig up that information.
When you talk about event correlation, that's kind of what you're getting at. If one event happens, this other thing can happen, and then being able to use that information to be more proactive and not sit back and let it happen to you, but your company can be proactive. So when you talk about that CloudStrike, you're not going to have any downtime if you apply this properly.
Well, yeah, and in CloudStrike specifically, actually, unfortunately, there was a lot of downtime to recover. But your point, I'm only correcting. I'm sort of half correcting and half joking with you.
You're half correcting, half joking. That means you're making fun of me.
Yes, I'm making fun of you.
Okay.
But if you take it away from just the CrowdStrike failure as specifically, you are correct. It allows you to recover so much faster. So, again, just to kind of get to where we are, does a lot, ingests data and analyzes it really quickly, does a really, really good job of correlating events that seemingly may not be associated, but they really are. Detecting anomalies. I mean, it's all about patterns, right? Good AI is all about there's something that's wrong. This is just not part of your usual pattern. Go out, let's take a deeper dive and come up with good root cause analysis.
Okay, so I think that's key, though, when you talk about this root cause analysis, because you really want to get down to the crux of the issue.
Exactly.
You don't want to look at the surface and go, this is what we think is going to happen. It's really getting down to what's really happening.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. And it allows you to be able to focus your resources. And look, IT departments are always understaffed, so it's making sure that you can get your resources in the right place at the right time.
Okay, but there's really I hate to say it, and you might or might not agree, but it sounds like to me there's a cost reduction opportunity too.
Oh yeah, and we can talk about that, because once we get through kind of what the key features are, let's talk a little bit about where you can get potential cost reduction, where you can make your IT department or your IT environment a lot more predictable, reliable, secure, cost-effective. The big 4 that business always looks at.
Okay, so what other features do you want to share?
The other 2 things, we talked a little bit about, the anomaly detection. the flip side to the coin, the other side of that coin is predictive analytics. I mean,
Okay.
you can, based on history and based on, checking patterns and the like, you can also kind of predict, you know what, even though this particular machine or this particular network looks really stable right now, based on what is being done to the environment, being done to the configuration, stability may fail. And so using AIOps, you can kind of stop problems ahead of time.
It almost sounds like this is really important for organizations like financial services, utilities, companies that are relying on hardware and software to run the business. Like a utility has to keep their control center going. A financial services needs to keep their bank access going. This stuff's critical. And I'll tell you,
airlines. Think about the big Southwest Airlines failure last year, and CrowdStrike basically bringing all airplanes down to the ground. Grounded. Just even in the last month and a half,
and that's a huge cost.
Well, without
or you're a financial institution, and people can't access their portfolio, right. And that's a huge cost to customers and to the company.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the last feature that sometimes you're going to hear some of these enterprise service management solutions say is we can do automated quote unquote remediation. In other words, we can fix the problem using AI.
So how does that work?
That's a good question. That's the one that really has me scratching my head. And to our listeners, I don't have a good answer at this point. I'm not really sure how you get AI to take over keystrokes so that I can, if I have like the blue screen of death on a laptop, how do I get AI to stick that dongle, the dongle in there and reboot and reload Windows?
But maybe it's more about providing suggestions to IT staff on what to do as opposed to doing it for you. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm a CIO, I want AI to do all that.
I agree. And Bill, I agree with you violently, but I'm just telling you, if you read the literature that these ESM, they're talking about, it's marketing. And so remember, it wasn't too long ago where ERP would scratch your back and make your coffee too. And salespeople would say, yep, everything gets done. And I think that's where this concept fails in my mind, but everything else makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, sort of like instant coffee.
Exactly.
You don't want to taste that. I could just see AI taking over something and doing something wrong, and then who are you going to blame for that?
Right.
The robots?
Yeah, the robots. It's all their fault. It's always the machine's fault. Yeah. Remember. So if you buy into the fact that these key features make sense and
I'm bought in. I'm bought in. If you're running a mission-critical company,
there we go.
You need this. I mean, you really do, because it's going to be a competitive advantage for these, utilities and financial services and airlines and anybody that's got mission-critical to put these practices in place. But I think you're getting at, I'll say, the benefits of all
the benefits. So what are the benefits, right? And I think some of these are very self-explanatory. First is increased efficiency and cost reduction. Increased efficiency and cost reduction, because efficiency and cost reduction often goes together, sometimes not. But the bottom line is that if you, especially in the financial services and potentially in the utilities industry, you will oftentimes have employees that you're overstaffed in the areas where you're doing analytics, or you're trying to spot anomalies, you're trying to correlate events, you're trying to, get to root cause analysis and stuff like that. If something that would normally take you a week and you could do it in an hour, you might say, well, I can reuse that person somewhere else. But after a while, when you've done enough of that, you're going to have some folks that it's a little bit like musical chairs. You're going to have some folks sitting there, and so you have some opportunities. You will have some opportunities there.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, Peter. I mean, why would you? I mean, you can get efficient, but at the end of it, you're going to have people who are going to have nothing to do.
Exactly. But more importantly in cost reduction is, to me, the cost reduction of not affecting business in a negative way.
Just like your example with Southwest Airlines.
With Southwest Airlines, and to me, that's more important. The business internally will probably be pushing the CIO, we need to cut IT staff. Okay, yeah, we can do that, one or two people. But, the bottom line is the big cost reduction is really more cost avoidance.
Cost avoidance, yeah, that's perfect.
And so I don't think that can be overplayed. And as a CIO, and if CIOs are rolling out this type of AI, you can have the same benefits in business. So if you show them, ooh, I can do this in IT, why can't you do that in the business? Then all of a sudden now you're starting a very, very good...
I got what you're getting at here. Now you're basically saying, look, we've done it with the IT operations.
Right.
Now let's figure out how to do it with business operations, where the business can use AI to do things operationally in the field or on the shop floor and that type of thing. I got you. Okay.
Exactly. And then the next one, again, sounds like pretty obvious, but in terms of improved decision making, I equate that to better reporting and the ability to get a lot more information about what's going on in your environment, pulling it together. And we talked about correlation earlier, right? But pulling it all together and presenting it in a logical manner with proof that you headed something off, or you were able to increase uptime by a certain amount, or you were able to, frankly, change your organization, right-size your organization. You can use that to the business, say, look, you have the capability of using AI to make better decisions. And see, this is how I used AI to, quote unquote, make better decisions that directly impacted you. Wouldn't it be nice if you could use AI to make better decisions that directly impact your customers, our customers? And so as you go through this process, it's kind of like I'm eating my own dog food, and you can have some as well.
Let's just drill into that a little bit when we talk about better decisions, because sometimes when you tell people they're making better decisions, they go, I'm already making the right decisions. And what I usually respond to people and say, okay, you're making decisions faster. Okay, yeah. You're getting the information faster.
That's fair.
Because you use this comparison of getting something done in an hour versus a week. So if I get something done a week minus an hour sooner, then I'm going to make a better decision because it's better because I'm making it sooner. And so I've got a week of opportunity that I've saved.
Agreed. I'll tell you, at one of our last clients, Bill, we were using an AI tool within the ledger. And during month-end close, there was a series of transactions that were improperly posted. Not, no fraud involved. It was just improperly posted. We were able to use AI, and the business was able to use AI to go back and get to the root cause, outline every single transaction that was involved in that, and with recommendations for how to repost with the minimal number of entries. And they were able to fix that the day they found it. In the past, it would have taken them days to do.
Well, it could result in a misstatement too, because if they didn't catch it, they produce their financials and then they go, "Oops, wait a minute, that's a huge cost to a company."
Correct.
To their stock price.
Correct. So and there are tons of AI applications out there that will, scan your books essentially before you close them to try to find anomalies and make recommendations for how you fix them. And boy, wouldn't that be nice to do long before you close, and actually maybe do it day 1 of close as opposed to day 45 of close.
Well, this is interesting, and maybe this is a whole new podcast, because really what you're talking about here is, for example, in the accounting world, there's a shortage of accountants.
Correct.
And the reason why there's shortage is because the work tends to be tedious. You're taking the tedious out of it, and then you're giving them the strategic side of the business. So I know we're diverted a little bit talking about accounting.
Oh, no, that's fine. And actually, as an advertisement, Bill, if you remember correctly, we actually already recorded a podcast on how to use AI to address the shortage of accountants.
That's right. Maybe we need to repost that one since I forgot about it already.
There you go. Yeah, it's all right. Spirit, openness, and honesty to probably the 3 listeners on here. This is probably the most boring topic to Bill. I'm the only one that finds this super exciting, and I had to drag him into the podcast room so we could do this podcast.
No, our 2 listeners are commenting right now. They only get 2 stars. They forgot about the previous podcast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about scalability and flexibility too. Yeah. So I'm thinking about that. Maybe I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. Well, I think that what's been proven since OpenAI dumped ChatGPT on us October of 2019. that scalability at the moment is not really an issue. And what I mean by that is that the way that AI is working and the amount of technology and the amount of resources backing all of these AI engines, scalability is not really an issue. I think the bigger issue is going to be, how open do you want your data to be and how much time do you want to spend? When I say open your data, right, is how open you want your data to be to the cloud so that, if they're trying to spot anomalies, they're actually using, these ESMs are using data from other clients that they have, which actually gives you a better answer. But if you're in a secure environment, which like utilities are, you're going to have to teach the AI and give it time to learn your patterns. And do you have the patience to do that? And when I say learn, I'm talking a matter of weeks or months, not years. So that's where the quote unquote scalability falls. It's not like, one day it's going to fire up and just choke and die because it ran out of RAM or whatever. So scalability is pretty much not an issue. But I think, a simple way for you to show business value around AI and IT. And so if you're having trouble getting business to see why they shouldn't pursue it further, you can be the vanguard and benefit from it yourself. I mean, even if business does nothing, you look like a hero as the CIO. You look like a hero.
Yeah, and I can't imagine after, going through this, I think so many people are thinking about how to use AI, and you're talking about the hesitancy, using the IT department to be the
guinea pig,
yeah, for lack of a better word, but the test case to show how they can get value and demonstrate that. I think there's a logical path for other organizations because we jumped over into accounting. You can jump over to operations, logical path where you can say, hey, we can use this over here to help us. Because I look at this and I look at efficiency gains, I look at better information,
right,
and I look at risk reduction. Those are kind of the big things. I mean, I'll say cost avoidance, but that's the risk reduction piece. Business interruption, those pieces. But those really drive the value. And if you could focus it around those three, anybody would be crazy not to even be thinking about this in terms of their operation.
I couldn't agree more. You said it well.
Glad I'm able to converse with you in this world of AI. I appreciate you, Peter. I really appreciate you describing this and debunking, but also clarifying the jargon around this. And to our two listeners, or the one listener that's still on, thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your week.
There you go.